Hey guys, welcome back. This is the last one of the role of government in a mixed economy today. We're going to be taking a look at the last two. The last two are that the government should be um, kind of stabilizing the economy and also correcting for externalities. And we'll talk about both of those in pretty hefty detail today as we go forward. I want to remind you guys that we have a test coming up on our Unit 2, December 10th, and that will be our test. That will be the second to last test before your final. Pretty important stuff. All right, so make sure that you guys are getting well prepared. You need study guidance at mrmars.com, and here we go. All right. As a reminder that we had those 6 roles of government that we've already looked at. The first role was that the government should maintain legal and social framework. The second role was the government should maintain competition. The third role was to provide public goods and services. The fourth role is that the government should be redistributing the wealth of the people. The fifth and sixth role we will cover today. And as a refresher, those two will be stabilizing the economy and correcting externalities. So let's jump off with stabilizing the economy. So the government will maintain the economy. They want to keep economic swings to an absolute minimum. They don't want to see large shifts in inflation or in unemployment during that time, and they'll step in with things like job programs and Federal Reserve actions, and we're going to talk about both of those. But really, what's at the heart of the government maintaining our economy and correcting our economy and stabilizing our economy is fiscal policy and monetary policy. Fiscal policy is an action taken by the Congress to address an economic issue. Examples of those would be taxation, the government increases our tax rates, or the government agrees to spend more money on a good or service. And those two things are two things that the Congress has control over, and that's part of our government's action when we talk about fiscal policy. So the difference between fiscal policy and monetary policy is fiscal policy will be done by Congress. All right, so as a refresher, our tax rates were, again, we have the proportional flat tax, a regressive tax, or a progressive tax. A proportional flat tax is everyone pays the same percent. Regressive is as income decreases, taxable base increases. So you're getting taxed more as you make less. Doesn't seem quite like what we should be doing. And then finally, the progressive tax is as you make more, you're taxed more. And those are the 3 types of tax policy we have in the United States. Our monetary policy, on the other hand, is policy and actions taken by the Federal Reserve. Now, what is the Federal Reserve, you might ask? The Federal Reserve was created in 1913, and the purpose was to stop bank failures. So prior to having a stabilized economy, the United States government saw plenty of bank failures. And ultimately, the Federal Reserve would not protect us from the largest set of bank failures in 1933 or in 1930s during the Great Depression. But what we would see is we would see the Federal Reserve kind of starting to kind of stop these panics. So throughout United States history, we saw a tremendous amount of panics. We saw panics in the 1790s and the 1800s, all the way up to the 1913, and we finally created a bank to stop those panics. After the Great Depression, we evolved it to kind of help control the currency of the United States and make sure that nothing like that ever happened again. All right. The Fed uses 2 tools. They use an expansionary policy tool in which they try to increase the amount of money in the economy, and they use a contractionary tool in which they try to decrease it. Now, we will be going over the Fed and its tools pretty extensively towards the end of this week, beginning of next week. So I don't want to go too deep into it right now, but expansionary is creating more money in the economy, making money easier to get. Car loans, house loans would be cheaper during a period of expansionary, whereas contractionary, everything's going to be more difficult to get. Money is going to be harder to get, so it's going to be something that you're going to want to make sure that you kind of have straightened out beforehand. When we go to correct externalities, the government wants to basically make it so that not everyone pays for the consequences of the actions of a few. And they see this, and you kind of saw this with the General Motors and Chrysler bailouts, is it was going to be devastating to the nation's economy, so they stepped in with government action to kind of correct that. When we talk about an externality is a cost or benefit that affects a party who did not choose to incur the cost or benefit. There's a couple typos on that one. I apologize for that. But a cost or benefit that affects a party who did not choose to incur the cost or benefit. A great example would be air pollution. As you can see, here's the big diesel throwing black smoke up in the air. Now, I'm not driving that diesel, but that diesel smoke is affecting me and my family, and that's kind of an externality. We have two types. We have a negative externality, which is an activity that imposes a negative impact on a third party, air pollution being a great example. Some other good examples would be overfishing. As you can see, there's quite a few fish in this net here. Can't imagine that people are eating that many small fish at a time, but definitely kind of there. Water pollution up in the corner there, you can kind of see there's a Remax sign in this canal, in this urban area, and then noise pollution. So maybe an airline is passing over your house and it's difficult to sleep or to be a part of something during certain times of the day as air traffic is very, very heavy. Positive influences or positive externalities are that impose a positive impact on a third party. A great example would be electric cars. I don't drive an electric car, but every time that an electric car is being driven, it's benefiting me. Other examples would be a regional airport like we have here in South Bend. It's actually a pretty great example of one because it increases the amount of business that our people can do here. Another one would be bee farmers whose bees help pollinate and allow other plants to grow. And education would be a third one that you guys could look at. These government actions will respond to these externalities in a couple different ways. The first one will be a government action, and that would be like bailing out Chrysler and GM when they were about to fail. Next one would be taking something to civil court. So this would be just kind of like a civil trial, not criminal proceeding, but maybe just for monetary recovery. If there's a law in place, it would go to a legal court, and finally they can tax. So if you are a high polluting industry, you're paying more taxes. All right, and there's a pretty great example, the civil court example with Sriracha, the hot sauce. With Sriracha, the hot sauce in the neighborhood that they were manufacturing their hot sauce, because demand has been so high that the air was getting rather, seemingly spicy in a way, and that spice is kind of causing this to happen, and it's gone from civil and legal courts trying to get the Sriracha plant to shut down or move to a different neighborhood where it's not going to influence or affect these families as much. And that would be definitely something that is important to watch over time to see how the government gets involved in our hot sauce industry. So in summary, the government will step in to stabilize and correct any economy or any economic issue that we have. They want to stabilize unemployment and inflation using fiscal and monetary policies. Fiscal, again, is controlled by Congress, monetary controlled by the Fed, and they want to correct carryover externalities through legal process, government action, or taxes. Now, these are very important for us to kind of remember. The government does want to be involved in protecting us as the citizens. They don't want to see high unemployment levels, and they don't want to see the devaluation of the dollar. So what they want to do is they want to make sure that we're keeping to work and that our dollar is staying pretty constant. Now, when it comes to externalities, they're protecting us through the legal process. If I can't sleep at night because the Sriracha air is burning my eyes, the government's going to step in. Right? If I have family that works in an industry that's attached to the auto industry, maybe it's really important that the government protects the auto industry ever so slightly. And again, I think heavy pollution and taxes are good things for a majority of people. We don't want to breathe dirty air. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and hope you guys can tune in again. The next one will be just kind of a quick summary of all 6 of the roles of government and examples as you guys prepare for that role of government check for understanding this Thursday. All right, appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.